All right, everybody, welcome back. This is our second week of class. I want to go over really quickly, review how to do the bouncing ball. Then I'm going to show you how to do a second bounce without doing any more animation. And then we're going to get the ball to move across the screen. The good news is it's really simple to do both of those things, and it'll be just an addition to what you've already done. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to create a polygon sphere. And I'm going to go to my front view. I'm going to go through this part kind of quick because we already covered it in detail in the other video. And if you need a detailed refresher on that, then please check the video from week 1. So I'm going to take this down to 24 frames. There we go. And set a key there. Set a key on frame 24. Go to frame 13, bring the ball down. Set another key there. Excuse me. And then I'm going to go to Windows, Animation Editor, Graph Editor, grab my TY, my Translate Y value, get my key at frame 13, break the tangents, bring the handles up so that we get a nice peaked bounce. Back this out a little bit so we can see. That's what we should look like. And then close that down, click off of that, rewind, play. So there's our bouncing ball. Again, if you need detailed instruction on how to get through all of that, please check the first week video. So we've got a ball bouncing one time. If you looked at the homework assignment, it says the ball has to bounce twice on screen and get across the screen. So you could do what I just did a second time, and that would accomplish it. But fortunately, we're doing computer animation, and one thing computers are really good at is copying data. So we're going to use what we've already done to create our second bounce. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our frame length out to about 50 frames or so. We won't need all of this, but it's good to have. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go into our graph editor again. Window, Animation Editor, Graph Editor, and look at our TY value. I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to drag select over this so that I get all of my keys, and then I'm going to go to Edit, Copy, and that copies all of the data from that bounce and puts it on the clipboard. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my period key to go to the end here for this particular, go to the very last key in the bounce. And then I'm going to go to Edit and Paste and Option Box. Remember this, when you click on this option box, a window opens up to let you change options. And yours probably looks something like that, which is great because this is pretty much what we want. We want to paste the time range here tells us where it's going to paste, and we want to paste at the current point. So that's why we put the playback head here on 24 so that it'll paste at the current point. And if I hit paste keys, we now have a second bounce. So we've got the first up, first down, second up, second down, second up. And our total piece is now 47 frames long, so we can shorten this up to 47 frames, close the graph editor, rewind, and hit play. And we have 2 bounces. It's that simple. Yay for data copying. All right, I'm going to go back in the graph editor. Another thing we could do here, right now we've got the ball bouncing to the same height. If you wanted to, this is certainly not required, but if you wanted to, you could take and with your move tool, select a key, move tool, and click and drag, and bring these heights down a little bit so that the ball, I'm going to hold down the shift key and click and then drag straight down. That's going to make sure that that it only moves up and down, not forward or backward on the timeline. So now we've got a bounce that's gradually reducing in height. And what you'll find is that the tops get really, really flat. We don't want them super flat. We just want them kind of flat. So you might have to tweak this a little bit. Get in here and grab these and play with the handles a little so that you get a nice rounded top. This one is exceptionally flat. So the ball's going to literally go horizontally. We really don't want that. So we're going to pull that down like that. And we'll rewind, and you can see our ball reduces in height now when it bounces. It doesn't cycle anymore because the end doesn't match the beginning, but that's not what we want. We want it to bounce across the screen. Now here's the bounce across the screen part. This is really the easy part. What we're going to do, I'm going to go here, we're going to select our ball. We're going to go back to frame 1. You can either use the period and comma key to go back and forth from key to key, or if you're down here and you want to go right back to the beginning, just click on this button right here. It'll take you right back to the front. Then what we're going to do, we're going to take our move tool and clicking on the red handle, just the red handle, not in the center here, because the center will allow you to move on all axes. We just want to move on the X, the TX, or translate X. We'll grab this guy, we're going to move it over here, and we're going to set a key. And then we're going to come over here, whoops, bad Paul. Go to frame 47, where our last bounce is at its up. We're going to move it over to this side of the window and set a key again. And we're going to rewind. And now our ball bounces across. Now you can see it does kind of a weird little thing there in the middle. And I'll show you why that is here in a sec. But that's literally all you have to do. Set that key at the front and the key at the end, frame 1 and frame wherever you end. In my case, is 47. And you've got your bounce across. Now, to fix this bit in the middle, we have to go back into the graph editor, window, animation editor, graph editor. And this time, we have to select our ball so the curves show up. This time, we're going to look at translate X, TX. And you can see here, here's our first key and here's our last key. So this is the one we set. These two at the ends are the ones we set. We've got a couple extra keys here in the middle that were set when we hit S for the initial down position and the second up position on our single bounce. All we have to do is just highlight these, hit the delete key. We'll get rid of those, and that takes care of all of the it takes care of those extra keys. We now have a bounce that'll go straight across. We do have to fix one more thing, and I'll show you that. You can see at the beginning and the end of our bounce, the ball starts out moving slower a little and then picks up speed and then slows down again. And that's because we've got this curved tangent here. All we have to do is come up here to our linear tangents, click on that, it'll straighten that line out. So now the value change is constant, and we can rewind and hit play. And now the ball moves consistently across the screen at a consistent pace while we're still getting the height change on the bounce. So the approach that we're taking with this, where we do one thing first and then we do additional things, so we did the vertical bounces first and then we tackled moving it across the screen, it's called layered animation. We're creating the first layer and then we're doing additional layers on top of that. And that's a standard approach for a lot of CG animation. Once you got this, do your play blast like you did last week. Right click, play blast. Let's go to the option box, make sure that we've got save to file checked. We will browse to, in my case, I'm going to go to the desktop. I'm going to call it Paul Bounce Across. And it's a movie file, which is what we want. Hit save, play blast that. It'll play across. It'll open up the movie. And here we go. So there we are. Now, if we were really going to polish this up, we'd add things like squash and stretch and rotation and all of that. We'll get to all that stuff later on. But in this case, I just wanted you to get familiar with how to kind of move around within Maya, how to set keys, how to work in the graph editor. All of that's going to be important later on. So in the next video, we're going to talk about storyboarding, getting our ideas down on paper or digitally in 2D drawn version so that we can start working on them. We can work through a lot of ideas quickly if we do it as a drawing rather than trying to work in 3D. That's in the next video, and I will see you there.